This beautiful boy is Eddie. He's 6 years old. He was found when he was about 12 weeks old in the streets and all by himself. A little later he was adopted by the family, and what we just saw was him just listening to the conversation I've had about him with this human, and here he comes to say hello. Him whispering in my ear tickled a bit. So I was learning that Eddie has skin issues, so he can be very itchy and also over-grooms to the extent that he has bald spots. The family first tried conventional treatments, but didn't find them sustainable in the long run, and also tried now alternative methods that have helped a little bit. So he doesn't have any bald spots at the moment, but it's still an issue. The behavior is still there. And also he has some toileting issues. Very often he just toilets wherever in the house, even though there too a lot of things have been put into place, making sure the kitty litter is always clean and so on and so forth. So there he goes back again now. And our session starts soon after. Right on cue, Eddie's giving me a demonstration of what happens to him a lot throughout every day, feeling really itchy and then starting to groom, and that's sometimes going into over-grooming, where he grooms so much that the fur comes out and he has some bald patches. Skin issues are really difficult to diagnose and treat, and so the family has had a lot of help from different vets and has seen a little bit of relief, but his skin issues can also have emotional components to them, meaning an animal feeling really sensitive or agitated and quite literally, feeling their skin is crawling. Sometimes scratching can also be a default behavior for not knowing what else to do. So there could be a whole lot of different reasons. Using the trust technique, it's not really important to know the reasons to be effective, because what the trust technique in essence does is help the animal to feel peaceful in whatever situation they find themselves in. So right now you can be peaceful even if you feel unsure, or even if you feel itchy, actually. So it goes for physical symptoms too. So it can really help calm down the inner state, and when there is more calmness, that will also ripple to the surface into the behavior. The behavior will be calmer as well. So at that moment in time, we were still talking about what was going on for him, and in a minute you'll see me then in the frame as well. Then I start the session, and his grooming still continues. So he's just expressing with his behavior what is happening, and I don't really need to know why exactly he's acting the way he's acting. Sometimes I might get an inkling, but sometimes, or most of the times, I don't. But again, it's not really relevant for the trust technique to be effective. So here you see he now takes pauses in between his scratching and grooming where he is a bit calmer, and you see me in the frame too, and this is what it looks like to do the trust technique. You don't see much on the outside, but what I'm doing in that moment is I am regarding him. That means I am witnessing and observing his behavior without interrupting it, without reacting to it. And when he's calmer, like right now, then I get present with him. Getting present with an animal simply means to be right here, right now. Thoughts always arise, but when you don't engage with them, you can be fully in the moment, being fully present for what's going on with the animal. And the trust technique teaches a simple method that's easy to learn to do that. So Eddie has started to feel the effects of me getting present with him, which is feeling a bit sleepy, feeling calmer and more relaxed, and he has jumped over to this chair to find a more comfortable spot for him to settle, because he feels more sleepy, and being on the desk was just not as comfortable as he wants to be now. So it takes him a little bit to figure out exactly where he wants to rest, but he's almost there now, and I'm almost ready then again to get present with him again to see if he can relax even more. So Eddie is nice and still again and relaxed and feeling the effects of the present moment. And we all know that feeling when we're nice and relaxed, but then suddenly we have a thought, and unpeace arises, and this has just happened here for Eddie. So he heard something, he sat up to check out what it is. You can see he's a bit more alert now, and some of the grooming starts too. And when we had the grooming happening earlier, I also had a conversation with his human about how she feels when he does that grooming. And of course, I think it's easy to relate when she said that she feels agitated, sometimes also frustrated and irritated, because of course in a situation like that, when an animal does a behavior like that, that has consequences for its health, we feel helpless and we feel frustrated, and we've tried so many things and it's still not working. But at the same time, the animal picks up on our agitation, and that again exacerbates their own agitation even more, because animals and people share feelings, so it goes both ways. So we had a little bit of a chat, and I just let his human know that it's totally normal to have those feelings and thoughts come up, and there's not a reason to feel guilty for or berate oneself, but just to simply acknowledge that. Just acknowledge those and don't engage with them, so that we can take responsibility for our own feelings, and our animals don't have to pick up on that. They already have enough going on their own. So Eddie here is almost settled again, almost ready to get even more peaceful with me. Notice how much more relaxed Eddie is now. If you look closely, you can see him sway a bit. He holds his body very still. His eyes are almost closed. His attention is inward focused. And his human was actually quite amazed that he would relax as much, because he usually doesn't. Eddie does get a good sleep. He has a special kind of hiding spot where he can sleep, but his human said throughout the day he usually does not relax to that extent. So that's really lovely that with the trust technique, with getting present with Eddie and regarding him when his unpeace is coming up, I was able to help him to reach this state, which certainly feels very peaceful and calm. It must be a really healing experience for him, as it is for all of us. We can relate to that. When we can relax and be calm and quiet and still, that just makes us feel really good, doesn't it? And what a lovely moment coming up here, where Eddie relaxes even more deeply. So he tugs in his legs and is trying to find an even more comfortable resting spot. So he makes some little adjustments, but his inner state has just shifted to even more relaxed. And again, how wonderful for Eddie to have this experience that he usually doesn't have. So Eddie can't quite figure out a position to allow himself to be more comfortable. You see, he's just fidgeting around a little bit, just not able to go that notch deeper yet. But he's still nice and calm here, taking in this new experience. Becoming more peaceful is not a linear process. It's a kind of a sinking into yourself, feeling more relaxed until a thought pops up again, and or a feeling, and then some kind of movement in the body, some fidgeting, or here Eddie does some grooming again. Just can't quite settle yet again. So it's a ebb and flow in a way, and it takes the time it takes, but the trust technique has an accumulative effect, so within the session but also over time. So within the session, this part of unpeace now that's coming up here for him. This grooming session was much shorter than the one he did in the beginning. So often it's kind of like a cycling through being more peaceful and then releasing more unpeace again. That's always shows up as some kind of behavior or movement. And then the next time you settle again, you can feel maybe even a little bit more peaceful. So it's a bit like a dance. Dance that requires patience. Eddie feels more at peace again, and he's giving us this little lip lick like you just saw. That's a way of animals showing that they're accepting their inner state, that peacefulness they're experiencing. And yes, the trust technique takes patience. Another little lip lick he just gave us there. Takes patience, but that patience pays off. That patience is an investment. Going at the animal's pace is always the fastest, even though sometimes it seems really slow to begin with. And here towards the end, Eddie goes even a little bit deeper. He's closing his eyes completely and is very still.